all of that. Moving on, this is an overall contextual slide showing the area in blue is the mixed-use employment center land use designation. So the subject property falls within the center of that, highlighted in red. I would like to point out that Galaxy Motors currently is located on this property as well as the property to the south. This slide is taken from the staff report to give you a comparison of the land uses, density, and siting. Of interest here is that staff have negotiated with the applicant to remove some of the uses that are currently permitted under the CS2 zone. These are highlighted by the red star and they include auto repair, drive-in businesses, gasoline service stations, and more. These have not been included in the MUEC2 zone. The MUEC2 zone was designed to align with the OCP Mixed-Use Employment Center land use designation. Moving down, the other change to the zoning is the MUEC2 zone will enable 6 stories in height. And the applicant has identified that they would like to retain the 0-yard setback to the interior side yard. So there will be a forthcoming variance application for this. So at the December 14th council meeting, staff heard that council's consideration for building frontage as well as pedestrian and cycling connectivity on the site. So the following slides outline some of the considerations staff have made prior to bringing this application forward to council. So with respect to building frontage, one of the items that we evaluated was site topography and some of the issues that would need to be addressed. And on the slide, we indicate potential ways to deal with the topography through retaining walls, laws of land use, or strategic location of the building. So relative to considering the options above, staff have considered that the strategic location of the building is the best way of managing the existing topography. Land use was another consideration. The applicant has expressed light industrial requiring parking in front of the building as well as additional parking to meet the needs to attract light industrial tenants. The Collier's success achievement presentation also indicated a need for light industrial development on the South Island that also considers parking needs. So relative to considering the proposed land uses as per the OCP, the Mixed Use Employment Center, staff have considered both the needs of light industrial and information received from the developer and from the experts Colliers in conjunction with the design guidelines, as well as that the land use bylaw does not currently prohibit parking between the road and the building, and that the existing setback relative to the lands is 7.5 meters. The OCP design guideline supports no parking between road and building. However, staff have waived the mixed use employment land use designation and light industrial with the location of some parking between the building and roadway. So council may wish to consider that the mixed use employment center supports light industrial, which may be best supported by parking as per industry recommendations. So the second consideration at the December 14th meeting was site connectivity, and staff had evaluated connectivity through this site. Again, steep slope was one of the constraints relative to whether a switchback or stairs or retaining walls would be required, as well as we evaluated the design permit guidelines that focus on safety, security, and accessibility, as well as circulation, access, and parking. So what we came up with is if connectivity was provided, it would likely be located on the southern portion following the property line. User safety is a concern due to the length of connection without eyes on the street. So this is a crime prevention through environmental design principles, which pose some challenges for this site in the urban context. The focus of the site design will be between the users of on-site businesses, as well as enabling pedestrian connectivity through the parking areas to storefronts, which is part of our focus of the design guidelines. We also assess universal suitability for users, both pedestrians and cyclists, which may be limited by slope. stairs and abilities. We also considered the maintenance and liability for the city to take on this infrastructure over the long term as well as seasonal. So one of the other items that was discussed on the December 14th meeting was a statutory right-of-way located to the south of the property. And we have looked into this further, and it currently only enables city rights for utilities. So we could certainly negotiate opportunities for pedestrian over that right-of-way in the future. I'm going to skip to the next slide as it shows the overall context of where the statutory right-of-way is located, shown on yellow on the slide. So as you can see, it does not extend all the way to Island Highway, but this is something that could be considered with future development of one of these sites in the future, but not relative to the current site at 1764 Island Highway. So follow-up information, a traffic impact assessment was received by the city, submitted by Bunton Associates. It has been accepted. Some of the information that came out of that was that off-street parking supply within the lands was confirmed to be appropriate for the proposed use. Emergency vehicle access has been considered and is adequate. On-site pedestrian and cycling infrastructure from road to building entrances must be clearly marked. So what we heard as part of the public hearing process, we provided notification from January 11th to 25th. The public hearing binder was available at the front counter and on the city's website. Notices were mailed to property owners within 75 meters of the subject property, and 2 ads were posted in the Gold Street Gazette. As of the date of this presentation, the city received 2 written correspondence from the community, which considered general support for the application, but did highlight concerns with Wilford Road and traffic relative to shortcutting through the properties to the south of 1764 Island Highway. Since the drafting of this presentation, we received 3 additional letters from the community in general support of the application. One concern was relative to the lighting extending on site, which may be addressed through the development permit process. So thank you. That concludes my presentation for this public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Did you want to introduce representatives from PC Urban? Ms. Clark? Ms. Clark?
Yes, sorry very much, Mayor Martin. The video is just it's hidden behind the thing. Yes, we'd like to also invite Brian Kozak and Chris Karu from PC Urban, who have a short presentation to also present for you today. Chris, will you be leading that presentation? Excellent.
I will, yes. Thank you.
Off to you, sir.
I'll just quickly share my screen here. Can everyone see my screen?
We can.
Excellent. Well, after some fun technical difficulties there, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having us here again tonight. We'd really like to thank staff for their hard work in getting us here and the way they so eloquently just outlined some of the concerns that we'd heard previously and just general location of our site. I guess since this is public record, I'll just state that for those who are unaware, I'm Chris Karu, Development Manager for PC Urban. I'm joined by Brian Kozak, and at PC Urban, we're proud to have completed over 1 million square feet of industrial space across the Lower Mainland in Kelowna, and hopefully here soon in Colwood, so we're looking forward to bringing another 700,000 square feet of additional industrial space across the BC region, including in Colwood, all through our intra-urban brand, which is what we're proposing for this particular site here, which brings a higher level of design and consideration to small bay light industrial space. Always in the form of strata to allow small and medium-sized businesses to own their own space so they can control their destiny for trouble-free occupancy and ultimate customization. And that's the heart of what we're trying to bring forward here. Now, we've had a chance to speak with Mayor and Council, but again, we just wanted to reiterate why we feel we're here tonight. As mentioned, the site was initially zoned as as highway commercial there. And we were bringing forward a straight development permit application. But as outlined very well by Carrie there, the existing zoning in the MUEC2 zone allowed us an additional number of uses that we thought would be beneficial for this project and for the general Colwood business community. Things like professional offices and showcase industrial for things such as bike manufacturers, breweries, and bakeries, for example. We've also, as you know, in addition to that, we've also added, as you can see on this slide here and on the next one as well, this additional office space here that in working with staff and understanding, you know, the OCP and some additional uses we can bring forward, this office space would allow for additional range of uses. But as to increase these uses and allow these different types of businesses on our site, we thought we working with staff that it would be best to bring forward a rezoning application. The development plan is still the same, but we're just looking for expanded uses. So I have here on our screen just our initial renderings, but just given again what we heard and what staff just went over at first and second reading, we understand there are a few concerns that we wanted to address. And as outlined by staff, we have been working with them on some proposed solutions that we think will help best bring forward the best project possible for this. And we are working to continue to work with staff on some of those concerns that we were heard to ultimately bring forward the project that will have the best success for the right amount of successful small, medium businesses in Colwood. So we hope that tonight our project proposal will be considered for the additional uses that will be permitted on their site as we continue to refine our proposal based on the comments from council and staff to bring the best project forward. So I don't really have too much more to add. Just really wanted to highlight the use issues that we're trying to work through tonight, but Brian and I are here for any additional questions or comments that council may have.
Great, thank you. What I will do then is, if you don't mind, either staff or Chris, could you just drop your screen off?
Yeah,
just
working on
back to our main screen.
There we go.
So now what we are going to do is move on to public input. We will now seek public input. There has been nobody, as we heard earlier, has registered to speak, but I am going to ask staff to now put up the phone number that if people have logged in, they do have an opportunity to call in and share their comments. So if you are watching the meeting live and wish to speak to the bylaw, please follow the instructions that will be on the screen. We will wait a couple minutes to ensure that you do have an opportunity to reach us. If you do wish to speak for or against the proposed bylaw, please raise your virtual hand by pressing *9 on your phone, and you'll be put into a queue to speak. You will be identified by the last 3 digits of your phone number. So for those out there listening, the phone number is 1-855-703 8985, and then our meeting number is 849-9230-8350, and then with a password of 481048. What I'm going to do is I have a timer, and I'm going to at least give at least 1 minute in between calls, like first, second, and third call for public comment. So I'm going to wait just a minute, just before I look for a second time for participants, just to see if anybody calls in. I'm going to assume that staff will jump in and let me know if somebody has called in and does wish to speak. And I'm just checking my list right now just to make sure that I don't need to omit anybody or not. And there is not. And I apologize that I'm talking right now, but I find that sometimes when you're listening online, if it's just complete silence, you start thinking that perhaps it froze on you. Hence the reason why I'm continuing to, yeah. So we've got about 30 more seconds before I'm going to call for a second time. So actually, I am going to do that.
Excuse me, Mayor Martin. Mayor Martin. I believe there may be somebody in the meeting on the computer. I'm not familiar with one of the names there. They may be here to speak. If somebody is here to speak, maybe they could raise their hand.
please. Yeah. So if you are online right now and wishing to speak, please do raise your hand. Is it the C. Perkins that you were looking at, Amanda?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who that is, but the person is not putting up their hand. It's Parkinson. It's Councillor Parkinson is what that is.
No, actually, it's Candace Perkins from the city.
I'm sorry, I was talking when you were talking. My apologies.
It's Candace Perkins from the city.
Okay, thank you, Candace. Sorry. Now we all know who it was. I am going to call for a second time then. Again, if you are watching the meeting live and wish to speak to the bylaw, please follow the instructions on the screen. We will wait 1 minute to ensure that you do have time to reach us. If you would like to speak for or against the proposed bylaw, please raise your virtual hand by pressing *9 on your phone. And again, I am going to start the timer, and so that I ensure that we give a full minute to that. And then what we will do is we will go to third reading, and then I look for adjournment. So, but we are still presently in second. And again, if you are watching online, the toll-free number is 1-855-703-8985. And then on screen, you can see the meeting ID number and the password. So we'll just give that another couple seconds. 17 seconds to be precise. And we are at, so I am going to, for a third and final time, again, a reminder, if you are watching this meeting live and wish to speak to the bylaw, please follow the instructions on the screen. We will wait again 1 more minute to allow people an opportunity to reach us. If you are calling, the number is 1-855-703-8985. And then please raise your virtual hand by pressing *9 on your phone. So we're going to give that 1 more minute. And I'm not seeing anybody call in. So I'm going to ask that staff please remove that slide for me, just because I do need to see hands or I need to see people to look for a motion to adjourn. So I'm not seeing any final or I don't see any speakers. So I will, being that there is no further input, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing. Do I have a mover for that? I don't see, nobody wants to leave this meeting. Oh, there we go. Councillor Logan. I saw Councillor Logan raising his hand. All right, I will call the question. Those in opposition, please raise your virtual hands. And seeing no one, this public hearing is adjourned, and we will see council. We will see you back at 6:30, everyone.